Welcome back to the Bryan Devore Connection. I'm your host, Bryan Devore. Today, we're going to be talking about dementia, but in a little bit of a different way. We're going to be talking about For Their Thoughts Foundation, a wonderful local organization that really focuses on helping caregivers who are taking care of people with dementia. So here to talk about For Their Thoughts Foundation is its CEO, Betsy Hall. Betsy, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
So you and I met, it's been a few years, and I had an opportunity to get involved and participate in one of your events, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Talk about For Their Thoughts Foundation. What is the structure? What's the goal of For Their Thoughts?
So For Their Thoughts Foundation, like you said, is really focused on dementia caregivers. And when I say dementia caregivers, I'm talking about the families. And we are hyper-focused on bringing them hope and relief to the families that are responsible for the care of their loved ones today, while we also foster empathy in the systems that are around them to alter how dementia is perceived and addressed.
Got it. So there's a stat, it's an alarming stat, and it's a sad stat, that in many cases, a large percentage of the time, the caregiver passes away before the person with dementia. Why is that?
So dementia is extremely stressful, and it's not just stressful, it's isolating. A lot of people don't understand what dementia is. It's even dismissed by the medical professionals. My personal story is a great example that my mom was diagnosed through a letter in the mail.
Letter in the mail.
Yeah, for a terminal disease, she was given a letter with 5 sentences that basically said, "You have FTD, frontotemporal dementia. There's no treatment or cure. Thank you for seeing me. Please share this information with your family."
Wow.
So we were very isolated. We had no idea where to go, what to do, how long she had to live. And a lot of families feel that way. They feel there's a saying, diagnose and adios, that you're kind of left on your own. And it's very stressful. And so that's why that statistic exists.
Yeah. So you talk about frontal lobe dementia. There's a lot of different kinds of dementia that people experience. But regardless, the effect on the caregiver is tremendous. So talk about some of the work that the foundation does for people.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we focus on is kind of 2 birds, 1 stone. The goal is, like I said, to make a caregiver feel more whole. And so what we do is we provide direct relief to the family. And that is through our Care for the Caregivers Relief Program, which is a no strings attached cash grant that they could spend on whatever is relief to them. And we support families that, whether it's Alzheimer's, whether it is FTD, frontotemporal dementia, we've helped vascular, Lewy bodies families, but it's up to them to define what relief is. And I think that's what also makes us special. And the other thing that we do with Care for the Caregivers is that we provide a roadmap of resources. We don't have resources ourselves. Alzheimer's San Diego, they have amazing support groups. HFC, Hilarity for Charity, they have amazing support groups. And so we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to connect those families to those support systems so they don't feel isolated, so they don't feel alone and overwhelmed as they're going through this caregiving process.
Yeah, that's powerful. And like you said, there are organizations that have great resources and support groups, but people don't know about them.
Exactly.
So if they can find out about them through them, that's great. But if they find out about them through you, then you can guide them on what kind of services they might need. And I love the fact that you give them the money and say, okay, here, we know what you're going through.
Yeah.
You especially know what they're going through. This is going to help give you some relief in some way. It's not going to change everything, but it's going to help a little bit. So as a foundation, you're a nonprofit, so people can donate money to the organization, and that money goes directly to those caregivers.
It goes directly to those caregivers, exactly. Yeah, because when it comes to care support, a lot of the times the resources are out there, but the families don't know where to go, and they don't even know what exists. And so we really take that one-on-one time to personally understand what they're going through and where they are in the caregiving process and what support they might need.
Got it.
Yeah.
So one of the events that I attended, you've changed the name a little bit. It was called Dementia Live. Tell us about that event, the new name, and what that experience is like, because it was pretty incredible for me to go through.
Right. So since our Care for the Caregivers program focuses directly on direct relief for the caregivers, the other program, we call it Rethink Dementia. And that is about immersive education on what it's like to actually have dementia. And so therefore, it fosters the empathy inside you to better connect with whether it's your loved one or whether it's your patient or your client. So Rethink Dementia Live is an opportunity to really understand what someone with dementia is going through.
So for me, it was pretty powerful, and I remember exactly. Obviously, I don't have dementia, so you can't replicate it completely, but putting on the gloves and putting on the fogged glasses, trying to create that physical experience that someone with dementia might be having, and then they give you a task list of do these things somewhere in the room.
Yep.
They read it to you once.
Yeah.
And that's it. And this I don't know if it's still the same. And then trying to do these things, it was eye-opening to me what someone with dementia is going through. And when someone is going through those things with dementia, the effect on the caregiver, because the caregiver remembers this person as being the vibrant mom or the vibrant dad who did everything. They were the strong ones, and now they're the ones who need help. So they're struggling with the new identity of who this person is. No longer mom or dad the way they know. So that has a huge emotional impact on the person.
Yeah.
And so this makes a big difference for them.
Yeah, exactly. And you described it perfectly. The immersive education is designed to confuse your brain. That's why you wear the special headphones and the glasses and the gloves, because you have a healthy brain, and so we have to confuse your brain. And the first question that we ask in the empathy debrief that's afterwards is, how do you feel? And you described it perfectly. Everybody's responses are, I was frustrated, I was overwhelmed, I felt like a failure. And so that really opens up your heart as to what your loved one, who is before was your keystone or your partner in crime or whatever word you want to use, but they were that person in your life that you went to when you were having troubles, and now you can't go to them because they're right in front of you.
And they are the trouble.
They are the trouble. Exactly.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about the debrief, and I remember how I felt. I think the word I used was sad.
Yeah.
Because people do go through this all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it's powerful to have the debrief.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's where all the aha moment comes. Everything kind of triggers, because we talk about how you felt, and then we go into what's happening in the brain. So you can kind of have more of a scientific understanding of why your loved one is acting the way they are. Because dementia is not just memory, which is kind of the public notion that dementia is when you lose your memory. But my mom never lost her memory. With FTD, it affects your personality, it affects your language, your communication. My mom lost her ability to read, write, and talk, but she never forgot who I was.
Yeah.
And in that debrief, we can go over the different symptoms that might happen, so you can understand, oh, that's why my husband is acting that way. It's, we say, hate the disease, not the person.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So a lot of great work that you guys do. Information for the Thoughts Foundation is on screen right now. You can look them up on the web. You can call them as well. And obviously, if you are listening on your favorite podcast channel, you can't see it, but you can see it in the caption. So you can get all their information. Support this wonderful organization and the work they do to support the caregivers. Attend one of their Rethink Dementia Live programs. It's impactful and it's powerful. Betsy, thank you very much for coming today and educating everybody about what you do.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.